Hi, I'm Bonnie Sussman. We're in Cote D'ivoire 2017, and I am sitting here with my wonderful husband of 40 years, Rabbi Gerald Sussman. And he has done so much to help develop Jewish communities around the world and been supportive and has answered dozens of rabbinic questions from Nidchei Yisrael, Jewish communities around the world. I'd like to interview you and ask you, what does this whole thing mean in the context of Jewish history and Jewish development?
Well, I think it means a lot. One, I think there's a huge lesson to the Jewish communities in Israel and the Western world from these experiences. Much of the Jewish world, particularly I'd say in the United States, Western Europe, and to some extent Israel as well, is very secularized. And if the statement was made perhaps by the Pope or some other dignitary of the Catholic Church, is that we are living in a post-Judeo-Christian civilization. What the lesson of all this is that that's not necessarily so, and that it's not universal, that faith is important, that relationship with God is important, and perhaps one of the most important things that one can search for in life. So I find the devotion and the belief that one finds in these communities, particularly here in Cote d'Ivoire, to be very inspiring and very moving. And it's, in a sense, saying to those secularized Jews in the Western world, perhaps this secular outlook, which you think is the natural and normal way to look at the world, perhaps there's more than that. Perhaps you are erring or making a mistake in abandoning faith and belief. So I think that's one of the more important things, is the lesson that the community of Cote d'Ivoire and other communities provide for the rest of the Jewish world.
Is this unique in Jewish history? What is the difference? You've done conversions in the United States for individuals. How does a conversion in Africa like this, when you're doing groups, differ?
Well, I think one of the differences is that some of the conversions in the United States that I've been involved in, there are other elements involved. People who are marrying or have relationships with those who are not Jewish, and sometimes are inspired by seeing the Jewish families they come in contact with, or for whatever reasons they want to become Jewish to fit into the Jewish social group. There is also the element of belief and the element of Jewish practice, which I think is very strong in most of the converts that I deal with, say in the United States. So in that way, it's similar. I think the differences are that this is, in a sense, more going against the grain than one finds in the places where there are large and established Jewish communities. In a sense, there's something pretty brave about it. But Jewish communities are in many ways the same, whether they're in Africa or the United States or in Western Europe. Maybe Israel might be significantly different.
See, the difference here is when you convert a group of people, you're establishing new, at least this is what I think, a whole new community, and right from this
Though the new communities have much the same issues as the old established community. How do people get along with each other? And human beings sometimes do and sometimes don't. And there's all jealousy and politics in any organization. How do we get people out to our events and programs? How do we make an impact on their lives? What does it all really mean in a deep way? So these are issues in every Jewish community, whether it's a brand new community in a place like Cote d'Ivoire, or whether it's a community in Europe or in the United States that's been around for many generations.
Right, the same challenges are there: how to educate your children,
yes,
how to find a proper spouse, how to economically sustain your community and make sure there's a future for it, right?
Right, so those issues are quite the same.
Universal, yeah.
The communities here have the difference, I think, in that they are smaller. But there are many small Jewish communities around the world. And the small and large communities actually have the same issues, just on different scales. So I think in many ways they are similar, and it's striking to me how similar they are, especially because when people live the Jewish lifestyle, what are they involved in? They're involved in Shabbat and holidays and Tefillah and Kashrut. So when they talk about those things, it's not any different than someone talking about them perhaps in New York or London or even in Jerusalem. So what's striking to me is how communities in places like Cote D'ivoire really are part of the Jewish fabric and in many ways speak the same kind of religious language.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I know I had an aha moment a few months ago when I realized, hey, they're facing the same problems you are in Staten Island, New York. And you can call a class and 5 people show up. And here they can call a class and 5 people show up. And here they feel very disappointed 5 people show up. And in Staten Island, it's the same feeling. So the issues, while you think being Jewish in America is easy, it's the same fight. It's the same loot, it's the same fight to get people to engage in Jewish discussion. So Rabbi Sussman, I want to thank you for the many, many hours you've put in to help develop Jewish communities around the world.
I want to add one thing.
Yes, go on.
Someone said, I think you asked before, is this new in the history of Jewishness? And it's actually not. I think what we have now is a situation similar to that which existed in the late Second Temple period, where Jews, where there was an openness to Judaism in the world. And now, especially because of the internet, when people can access Jewish information and Jewish texts, and there's many things translated into many languages, Judaism is once again on the intellectual and spiritual horizon of the entire world, which has not been so until the last few years. Say 40 or 50 years ago, which to me now at my age is not that long ago, it was very difficult to access Jewish learning because very few texts were translated into languages other than Hebrew. And also, even if they were, where would you get them? You could not go to the Jewish bookstore and religious article store in Abidjan or in Managua, or of course there was none. Or even if you lived in a place like Buffalo, New York, or any of the smaller cities in the United States or in Europe, you could also not access to information, even the things that were translated. So Jewish knowledge was limited to the people very much within the Jewish community. And if you wanted to find out about Judaism on a higher level, other than reading simple Bible stories, which are shared with Christians, it was very difficult to do so. And now it's possible. So it opens the door to people discovering the beauty and the truth of Judaism, and to wanting to live the Jewish lifestyle which embodies those things. So I think that is a major change. Also part of it is the rise of the State of Israel, through which some of the stigma and shame of being Jewish has been taken away, in that Jews were once the pariah people that you can do anything you want to and it was okay. That is no longer the case. The kavod, the respect towards Judaism and Jewishness and Jewish people has much increased in the world, though it's certainly not in all places, in all circles. So I think that's a basic difference. Now, much of the world is open to discover Judaism, and it's my hope that whether they decide that this is the path for them in a complete way or not, that people will be inspired, and their lives, their personal lives and their relationship with God will be enhanced through their knowledge of and contact with Judaism.
Well, thank you once again, and on behalf really of the Jewish people, I want to thank you and all your hours and concern and love and wisdom that's been put into developing Jewish communities around the world.